I want to start today talking a little bit about Lashon Hara, the prohibition against gossip. It's an interesting mitzvah. There's an old story about someone who went to visit their rabbi to confess that they had committed this sin. They gossiped. They spread rumors. They told things they shouldn't have said. And they asked the rabbi, "What do I do? How can I fix this?" And so the story goes, the rabbi told him to go get an old pillow, a feather pillow, and climb up to the tallest tower in the town, rip the pillow open, and shake it all out. And so the man did this. He went up to the tallest tower, shook the pillow, spread the feathers all over. He watched them fly away. And he went back to the rabbi and he said, "Am I done? Is that it?" It wasn't so hard. And the rabbi said, "Now go and collect the feathers." Right? "It's impossible," the man said. "They flew all over. I could never find them all, no matter how long I did it, no matter how much I tried." And the rabbi says, "Exactly. Once you put words out there, you can never take them back." Our tradition equates Lashon Hara, gossip, as a really important mitzvah. Because once those words are out there, you can never take them back. In another source in our tradition, it equates that humiliating someone, embarrassing them, is the same as killing them. These are serious mitzvot. And yet there's something else interesting about the whole idea of Lashon Hara in our tradition. Because we divide mitzvot in different ways. We categorize them as positive and negative. Right? Not the fun ones and the less fun ones, but the ones you should do this, keep Shabbat, honor your mother and father, and the do nots are the negative ones. Don't steal, don't gossip, don't tell lies. There's another way of categorizing them. We think of time-bound and not time-bound. Again, Shabbat is something that we do at specific times. Kibbud Aveim, honoring your parents, is something we do all the time. Another way of categorizing them are mitzvot, bein adam le'adam, between people, and mitzvot bein adam le'makom, between a person and God. Kashrut is between us and God. It's a ritual mitzvah. Tefillin, talit, these are ritual mitzvot. Prayer. But caring for the hungry, clothing the naked, visiting the sick, these are mitzvot between a person and another person. All of the mitzvot around business, our relationships, the civil mitzvot, if we think about it, civil cases. Now, most civil cases can be taken up with a beit din. If you violate a business agreement, the beit din can intervene in that. In marriage and contracts and divorces, the beit din can intervene in these. But Lashon Hara is an interesting one. Because even though it really is a mitzvah bein adam le'adam, between people, don't gossip about another person, our tradition's been very clear that the beit din doesn't have recourse for gossip. That if somebody tears your clothing and damages it, beit din can deal with that. If their ox gores your ox or knocks down your fence, we can deal with that at the beit din. But the beit din can't punish somebody for words they said, only actions. And so we have this interesting dichotomy in our tradition, the juxtaposition of these values. How important our tradition tells us words are, how important it is to be careful with what we say, how powerful our words are. And then also, that there's no real recourse, at least in this world. Our tradition tells us that a person's punished for what they say later, when they go to meet their Maker. And even the whole idea of creation, God is our Maker, connects back to the power of words. Because back in Bereshit, God created the world, our tradition tells us, not with actions, but with words. God said, "Let there be light," And there was light. And so I talk all about this as the setup because today we're seeing how powerful words can be, both to do good and to do bad. How dangerous words can be. And the question then is, what do we do with that? There's a very famous midrash on our parsha. As the Israelites stood at the edge of the water with the Egyptian army coming after them, the waters didn't split. It waited for one man, Nachshon. Nothing happened until Nachshon started to walk into the water. And as he got deeper and deeper and deeper, and the water finally started to cover his chin, it was only then that the water split. It took somebody to act. There's another midrash, another rabbinic story that says that actually, when the Israelites stopped at the water and were waiting for it, it wasn't that there was nobody that was brave enough to go in, but they stopped and they waited because they were fighting with each other. Each tribe said, we want someone from our tribe to be the first one into the water. The leaders of those tribes were saying, we want to be the first one. No, I want to be the first one. I want to be the first one. And so they were arguing with each other until it was finally decided who would go. We can think of these as different stories with different lessons, different messages. Each has its own truth that the rabbis are trying to teach us. But I found a modern rabbinic commentary which synthesized them together. It says that actually they both happened. Everybody said, we want to be first, and they fought and they argued over who got to be first. But when the time came to actually act, they just stood around and did nothing. And that's when Nachshon took it upon himself to act. When everyone else offered words, one person acted. And so I think one of the lessons for us is to remember that as important as words are only part of it. It takes action. And so this week we observed International Holocaust Remembrance Day. And so many of us, like so many around the world, said things about never again, we'll never forget. And I think we have to remember that it takes more than words. It takes actions. And I think that should be a reminder for us, but it's also a lesson that our leaders out in the world need to learn. Not just the Jewish ones. Actually, perhaps it's more important for some of the non-Jewish ones. I imagine many of you saw our Mayor, Olivia Chow's post this week for Holocaust remembrance. She said all the right words, but to the mayor, I think we're all waiting for actions. The same thing in New York. Mayor Mamdani said all the right things as he stood out of 770, the Chabad headquarters, after a car rammed into the building repeatedly. He said all the right things, but his actions say something different. And so I want to invite us to listen to the words people say. These words are important. But to remember even more that we have to look for their actions. And that's how we really decide, at least in this world, what they did or didn't do. So our tradition tells us, Lashon Hara, if you sin against someone with words, that person has no recourse in this world. It's between you and God, them and God. In this world, we judge people's actions. So this Shabbat, let us take a look at our own actions and make sure that they live up to the ideals that we want to set, the example we want to set, the values our tradition gives us. Let us also hold our leaders accountable for their actions and not just listen when they think they're saying the right thing. Shabbat Shalom.